Hi everybody, it's Amalia and I'm here today with a new video. Today I'm doing the Oso inspired collab with Crafty Al and all of the wonderful people from the Oso inspired collaboration team. This month we're inspired by Yvette at Yvette Olia Creates on Instagram. Here's the inspiration piece that I took to create my piece. I'm starting with some Copic coloring. I'm using E02, E00, and E0000. And I'm using the darkest color, which is going to be E02, to highlight the base of the flowers from the inside to the outside or from the bottom to the top. And I'm using long, quick strokes to feather in the color. Then I'll go in with E000, which is the next lightest color, and I'll essentially feather out that color, and my final color is going to be the E quadruple 0, which is a barely there color. But I do end up going back in at the end, and you'll see it in this little video clip here, that I'll go back in with the darkest color, which is E02, to sort of add more contrast at my base of the flowers. I just like it a little bit better than like a purely blended look. And I did a lot of experimenting. With the greens on these stamped images. Here I'm using YG25 and YG05. In Copic coloring, you're supposed to stay sort of sequential with the colors. So like I used E02, E000, and then E0000. A lot of zeros. And with these greens, you'll see that I'm doing YG25 and YG5. I just wanted to see how these would work. I really like the way they contrast, and the coloring style is more graphic, and I just like the way that looked. So there you see that was YG25 and Y05. Now I'm moving on to R81, R83, and I had R20 in my hand, but that leaned a little too yellow for R81 and R83, so I didn't end up using it. And what I do really often with Copic coloring is to get darker colors, I'll just go over it repeatedly with the same color. So I started with R83 at my base of the buds and at the center of the flowers. And then I went over it with R81 to feather out a little bit. And I started experimenting with R20 before. You can see at the bottom on the left of the page that I was experimenting with the color before I put it down on my flowers. And I discovered it was the wrong color, so I decided to just go ahead and fill in everything with R81, which is the lighter of the two colors, and then I went back in with the R83 to darken the center lines. And I like the dramatic and the high contrast of the two colors. So that's why I went and did that. So I ended up using just two colors with this flower, and as you saw with the first image, I used three different colors to get that image done. Here I'm going in with my greens, and for these leaves I'm using YG09, YG07, and YG05. Again, that series of three colors for the darker tone, the medium tone, and the lighter tone. That's the typical Copic coloring formula. And I think it works out. Again, I go over my darkest lines at the end, so just to make them stand out a little bit. And I just like that look a little bit better than when it's perfectly blended. I'll start coloring another image in a few seconds, but I wanted to remind you that this is a collaboration, and at the end of this video, go below in the description and you'll see a link to the playlist with everybody's videos. Next, I'll be using V22 and V25, and I'll be doing the same exact thing, just in this lavendery, purpley kind of color. Again, I go in with my darkest color first. I'm going to blend it out with my lightest color. And then I end up going back in with the darkest color to reinforce those initial darker lines. Does anybody know what flower this is? The stamp set is called Best Mom from Altenew, but it doesn't say what the flower is. I think it kind of looks like bougainvillea. I don't know for sure, but what do you think? Leave a comment below and what flower you think it is. I've colored in the whole floral part, and I'm going back in with my darkest color, which is V25, and just reinforcing some of those deeper, darker lines. Now I'm using YG07 and YG25 to color in the leaves. Now these two colors are in different kind of green color families, let's say. I wanted something different. I wanted something a little bit more yellow in my green, and so I'm using YG25, which is a celadon green. That's a very yellowy kind of green, and YG07, which is an acid green. And it sounds horrible, acid green, but it's just like a nice bright green kind of color, and I like the way they go together. The celadon green kind of looks like a highlight on the leaf, so that's why I chose it. And in this instance, the YG07 is the darker color. So I go back into the little leaves and to add some more of that color just to darken out those outlines. Here's the final result. Hey, if you like what I've done so far, would you please subscribe to my channel and leave a thumbs up? Yes, please leave a thumbs up. It really helps a lot. Here's what I used, ladies and gentlemen. This is Best Mom from Altenew. This set is from 2016. I actually got it in a trade with a fellow crafter. And here's the final result. No, I didn't make 3 individual cards for each individual floral. I decided to pile it onto 1 card, and I love it. You might be able to see that I used a glitter pen to go around the outside and over some of the flowers just to zhuzh it up a little bit. But that's my card, basically. I hope you like it. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys. I really appreciate you. Bye!